You do not need to spend money or buy stuff in order to invite a season into your home. And of course, I understand the impulse. Summer is over, winter is coming. We want our homes to feel cozy and snuggly and inviting and cheerful. And so we go out and we buy a bunch of quick dopamine hits that make us feel cozy and snuggly and inviting and cheerful. And it's also the time of year when we have family and friends coming to visit more often. So we're feeling that external pressure of wanting other people to find our homes cozy and snuggly and inviting and cheerful. Not to mention we have winter holidays coming up, which can be a really happy time for people, but also can be a really hard time for people. And we as a culture cope with feelings by shopping. So I get it. But for me, approaching seasonal living in this way actually had the opposite effect. When I was living that way, I never really felt connected to the season or in tune with the rhythms of nature. I just felt in tune with the rhythms of the seasonal change out at home goods. So I don't do that anymore. Here's what I do instead. My favorite way to get ready for a seasonal shift is through deep cleaning and decluttering. This feels to me like making space for a new season. And something about caring for my home in this way makes me feel like my home is returning the favor throughout the upcoming season. It's a reciprocal relationship. And summer is often a particularly busy season. We spend way more time outside, socializing, hanging out with friends, doing activities than we do inside, putting things back where they belong when we're done with them. So take this time while the world is slowing down to do some really intentional deep cleaning. Open your windows and let the fresh air in while you clean. Think about sweeping the dirt of summer out of your home so that you can make space for rest and restoration. And I think bonus points if you light a fall scented candle while you clean, although I actually tend to light mine after I clean. I like to do a whole big deep clean first and then light the candle as the kind of signal that the season is here. It feels like inviting the season in. That's my little ritual, but you get to make yours however you want. Next, I think we need to do our seasonal swaps. As a minimalist who was born and raised in mild climates, like I didn't even own a coat until my 30s, I never really understood the idea of seasonal storage. I thought that if I had things that spent half the year in a box in the garage, it meant that I didn't actually need them and therefore that I had too much stuff. So I just kept all of my belongings out all the time, ready for use year round. I had heavy blankets in my living room in the summer and swimsuits in my drawer in the winters. But what I found since embracing the idea of seasonal storage is that it really actually helps me live in tune with the rhythm of the seasons. And it helps me do that much more naturally and without ever really needing to buy anything new. Not that I never buy anything, but it doesn't feel like I have to buy something in order to understand that it's here. I used to feel like, oh, it's fall, it's time to go buy a candle, or it's time to buy a sweater. And now I just feel like, oh, it's fall, it's time to pull my fall things out of storage. It's a way to change my environment without having to go shopping. So I can easily feel when the season changes based on the items around me. So now is the time to break out that big bin of heavy blankets that you keep tucked in the garage. Put the flannel sheets on the bed, get your sweaters out of storage, bring your mittens and your hats and your gloves to the front of the closet. And if you live in a milder climate like I did, I highly encourage you to embrace the idea of seasonal storage, even if it doesn't seem necessary. I find that when something comes out each season, it's like getting to see an old friend. And I'm getting that same dopamine hit of newness without needing to get anything new. And one of my favorite tips for this is to consider adding curtains to your seasonal storage, because swapping out the curtains in your home can make a huge design impact with minimal effort. Just imagine having breezy linen curtains in the summer and then cozy, warm, heavy velvet curtains in the winter. Not only are they functional and help keep out the cold, but it's really going to signal to your brain like, okay, the season is here. Fall has always started in the kitchen for me. As the weather starts to cool, one of my favorite ways to invite the warmth of the season in is through seasonal baking. Pumpkin, pear, apple, fig, orange, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove. These are the scents that fill my house that tell me fall is upon us. I tend to get overwhelmed with gift giving and gift receiving actually, but that's a totally different video. And so a couple years ago, I decided that for Christmas, instead of buying my family a bunch of gifts that they inevitably don't want, my gift for them each year would be something that I had baked. And I'm not a big baker, but it's turned into this kind of seasonal ritual where every year I pick what the baked good will be that year. Last year I did a grapefruit and rosemary olive oil cake. This year I think I'm going to do a pumpkin crumble coffee cake. And I start recipe testing it in the fall because you never get it right the first time, and recipes take time, and I like being able to have time to, figure out what really works and to put my spin on it. But also because by starting in the fall, it's signaling to my brain that we're shifting into a different season, and I get an excuse to bake a lot and have these smells just filling the home. Baking might not be your thing, and that's totally fine. Honestly, it's not really my thing either, but I love doing it in the fall just because I love the flavors of the season so much. But if that doesn't vibe with you, what about cooking? What about cocktail or mocktail mixing? Or what about just making like a big batch of apple cider? Truly nothing says fall is here like a big cup of apple cider. And it's so easy to make yourself. You can make it from scratch on the stovetop or in the crock pot, or like lowest level, you can just buy a pre-made bottle of cider and mull it yourself by throwing in a couple of cinnamon sticks, a couple of cloves, some orange slices, and letting it cook on a really low heat or in the crock pot. I love having a crock pot full of mulled cider going for holiday gatherings. It stays warm the entire time. It makes the home smell amazing, and it's everybody's favorite drink. Not only is it warm and spiced and sweet and comforting, but it's also so easy to make, and it will make your house smell like the autumn harvest wonderland of your dreams. 10 out of 10 recommend. As the days get shorter and the nights get darker, this is a season that demands attention to cozy lighting. Living with the rhythm of the seasons for me means living with the rhythm of the natural light they bring. Fall and winter bring a lot less sunlight, which means I am embracing the darkness. I am using a lot less of the big light in the house, and I'm leaning into cozy, warm-toned lamps and candles to light my evenings. So check out your lighting sources. Check out the temperature of your light bulbs. I personally, no secret, am a big fan of smart lights for this very reason. I also really love reducing my screen time in autumn. It feels like part of embracing the darkness for me. It helps my brain rest and reset, and it keeps my circadian rhythm in check as the season changes. Closing my computer at the end of the workday, tucking my phone away as much as possible, and finding screen-free activities to do with my partner after dark, like board games or reading a book or doing some seasonal crafting. A few years ago, the year after I panic bought a bunch of Christmas decorations that I ended up hating and posting on my Buy Nothing group like the very next week, I gave myself a challenge. 100% of that year's Christmas decorations needed to be handcrafted and 100% compostable. I had the best Christmas ever. I made my own wreath and my own door swags out of foliage that I had found in nature. I strung garlands made of cranberries and dried orange slices. I made salt dough ornaments and gift tags. And we didn't have a Christmas tree, but I dreamed of decorating one with fruits and flowers. And this changed the way that I think about decorating for the holidays, because I felt so much more connected to the things that were brightening my home, because they weren't just cheap, mass-produced, soulless decorations. They were things I had made. They were things that had purpose and meaning because they were infused with the energy that I had while I was making them. So it wasn't just a wreath on the door that looks pretty. It was infused with my own thoughts about welcoming people into my home. It wasn't just a name tag that I had slapped on a gift. It was full of all the love and happy memories and warm, fuzzy thoughts that I was thinking about the person while I made it for them. And none of it was really just decoration. It all felt like a reminder of the amount of cheer that you can bring yourself with just a little time and attention. I hadn't outsourced my happiness that year. I made it. And so they were more than decorations. They were like visual reminders of favors that I did for myself. And it made me a different kind of happy. Like I would look at something and just be like, I made that. And I would feel so full and so connected to my home. So if you want to decorate, then try shifting your thinking from what should I buy to what can I make for my home instead. And if you do want to bring in a few seasonal decorations, I highly recommend thrifting for buried treasure. Thrift stores are so often full of seasonal decorations, either in like a literal seasonal section or just hiding among the masses. And remember that something doesn't have to be literally seasonal decor in order to invoke the feeling of the season. Find little treasures that speak to the season for you and make them part of your seasonal decor. I think it's a really great way to infuse your home with the spirit of the season without having to fill it with like plastic leaf garlands and be grateful wall decor. So when you're thrifting for autumn decor, look for textures, not themes. Think woven baskets, wooden bowls, brass candlesticks, ceramic mugs, wool blankets, that kind of thing. Natural textures are going to instantly feel autumnal and bring a cozy factor to your home and are going to transition with you throughout the years. Also, I think focus on color palette. Maybe you pick just 2 or 3 colors that really say fall to you. Think chestnut, rust, deep green, cranberry, mustard, plum, and then use those colors to guide your choices. It's a great way to tie all of your seasonal decor together without feeling like you've overloaded on a holiday theme. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by the thought of decorating your place, first of all, you don't have to. But if you want to do a little something, try picking just one spot, one place to create a little moment of seasonal coziness for yourself. Just focus on that and let it be somewhere that you spend a lot of time. Maybe it's your favorite corner where you love to curl up with a cup of tea, or maybe it's the desk that you freelance 8 hours a day at. Maybe it's the entryway. Maybe it's the first thing you see when you walk in the door. It doesn't matter where it is, but picking just one space that you bring a little bit of extra seasonal attention to can make it feel like you've really decorated your whole home, but without the time and the money and the energy that it would take to do so. I want to know in the comments below, if you were going to decorate only one spot in your home this year, what would it be and why? And what would you do to it? I think for me, it would be this bookshelf in our Airbnb that serves as our entryway kind of landing spot. Not only because it's the first thing that we interact with when we walk in, but also because we see it when we're sitting on the couch. I spend a lot of time looking at it. So I think that would have the biggest impact. And finally, I think the best way to invite the season in is to go outside. Nothing is going to make you feel more connected to the rhythms of nature than being in nature, than getting outside and experiencing it for yourself. So bundle up, get out your rain boots or your snow boots or your fashion boots or whatever boots you need. Go for a walk. There is no substitute for feeling the crisp autumn air on your face or the crunch of leaves underfoot. No substitute for listening to the trees as they teach you to trust that shedding is a necessary part of growth. So as the light gets softer and the days get slower, fall asks us to turn into ourselves, to reflect, to grieve, to dream, to connect to who we are and to who we want to become.